Good morning. I'm Jay Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the January 24th, 2019 edition of the Bible Delight in the Details. Throughout the Old and New Testament, we are acquainted with a statement, a phrase, the Father's house. And with being a 21st century Christian, we don't really understand what that means. And I want to explain this. I saw this recently on a gospel video. Ray Vanderlaan is a superb Bible scholar who does Bible lessons live on site in the Holy Land. And he was explaining from an archaeological dig near where Abraham would have settled. He was showing the foundations of a house of that time. And he was explaining how the Father's house is actually a Hebrew term. It's Bethab, or Bethhabh, and it is more than just a location. It's not just the place, it's a whole philosophy behind it. He was explaining how, in that era, extended families lived together. And he was pointing out how there would have been porches off to the side with some with walls and others more temporary, but it would be up to 20, 30 people, your brothers and sisters and grandpa and grandma and all these different people would be living together as a family unit. And so, yes, that location was known as the Father's house because the patriarch was in charge, basically, of that housing area. However, it was also a philosophy. And that is that if you were the father of the Father's house, if you were the head of this clan or tribe, it was your responsibility, your job was to provide for your family, for the extended family. That meant in every way. You provided as best you could, and every need of theirs needed to be met. Now, today we would not think that it was fair that most of the wealth, most of the property, in fact, almost all of it, would go to the oldest son. That wouldn't work in the 21st century. But in that era, people were much more fine with that, because what that meant is when your older brother inherited the property, that meant that he had all the more resources with which to fulfill his obligation to take care of you and yours. And this obligation was taken very seriously. In fact, if a patriarch did not take care of his family, that was a terrible stain against his reputation. And we see in the Bible repeatedly just how seriously godly men took this responsibility. For example, have you ever considered Abraham and Lot? Lot is not described in very good terms. He's very unwise to go live in the cities thinking that he will not be stained or sullied by their paganism and their evil living. He goes ahead and he even becomes an official in those cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. We know this because we're told that he is sitting in the city gate, which means that he has a position of prominence and authority. And yet, what did we find in Genesis that happened? Lot gets kidnapped, and his uncle, who would be his father's house, would be the person that is the patriarch of his clan. He actually puts an army together and goes after 4 kings who have kidnapped him. So he basically wages a private war to get this nephew, who's certainly making very questionable decisions, back. Did he do it just because he loved him? Well, I don't know, but he did it definitely because of his position. Look at Hosea and Gomer. Hosea, the prophet who married the prostitute. She has now soiled her marital vows. She is gone into prostitution again, having been redeemed and one time, and now she's on the slave block, being sold. And what does Hosea, this man of God, do? He doesn't worry about his dignity, his reputation. He knows that his reputation is going to be established by, was he faithful to his commitment as being the patriarch? And he goes and literally redeems her. The word redeem is very interesting, and it means literally to go and bring back, buy back. So what if you have a renegade person in your clan, your duty as the father was to go get them and bring them back and fulfill their needs again. And that is exactly what Jesus Christ does. This is a beautiful picture. And this is why in the New Testament, Jesus seems almost proud of the fact when he says, I have not lost one, not one that the Father has given me. Well, that's right, because you would not want to lose anybody in your family. That would show that you had not done your duty as the successor to your patriarch and as the new father. It is a fascinating understanding of a Hebrew concept, and so I hope that brings new meaning to the verses in the Bible that talk about our Father's house. I'm J. Lenora Bressler. Visit me on the next edition of The Bible Delight in the Deep.